today
Sounds good.
into the life and political career of Narendra Modi,
Okay.
the Prime Minister of India since 2014.
All right.
And we are going to be using his Wikipedia entry
Okay.
as of January 3rd, 2025 as our roadmap.
Exciting.
So quite a journey to cover,
It is.
from his humble beginnings to his current position on the world stage.
It really is. It's an intriguing journey.
So let's start with those beginnings.
Sure.
Modi was born in 1950
Yeah.
in Vadnagar, India.
Uh-huh.
Can you paint a picture of his early life for us?
Certainly. So he came from pretty modest circumstances.
Yeah.
Helping his father sell tea as a child.
Wow.
And what's interesting is that he ran away from home as a teenager
Really?
and spent 2 years traveling around India.
Oh, wow.
Some speculate it was a spiritual quest,
Right.
searching for something beyond the ordinary.
Yeah, that sounds like the foundation for a classic hero's journey.
It does, doesn't it?
And it's during this time that he encounters the RSS.
Yes.
The Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh.
Right.
How did that organization, with its focus on Hindu nationalism, shape his worldview?
Well, I mean, the RSS advocates for a vision of India that's really rooted in Hindu traditions and culture.
Uh-huh.
And, this resonated really deeply with Modi.
I see.
He was really drawn to their ideology.
Okay.
And his early involvement included participating in a protest against the Indian government during the Bangladesh Liberation War in 1971.
Why would he protest against the Indian government during the War for Independence?
Yeah, so the government at the time prohibited open support for the Mukti Bahini, the group that was fighting for Bangladesh's independence.
I see.
And Modi, already demonstrating his willingness to challenge authority, joined this protest, which was led by Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and even spent time in Tihar jail.
Oh, wow.
Because of it.
So we see his commitment to this particular cause.
Yeah.
But how did he go from protesting to rising within a political party?
His path led him to the Bharatiya Janata Party, the BJP, where he began his ascent through the ranks. A key figure in his rise was Lakshman Rao Inamdar, an influential RSS figure who became his mentor.
Mentorship plays a role even in politics.
It really does.
But was he content to stay behind the scenes, or was there more
to
his involvement with the BJP?
Modi was far from passive. He proved himself to be a really skilled organizer and strategist. In the 1990s, as the BJP National Secretary, he orchestrated these massive events, like Advani's Ram Rath Yatra, a chariot procession that became a very potent symbol of Hindu nationalist sentiment. He was also instrumental in organizing Joshi's Ekta Yatra, a journey for unity aimed at promoting national unity. And these events brought him significant recognition within the party.
So this brings us to a very pivotal moment. His appointment as Chief Minister of Gujarat in 2001.
Yes.
What was the context surrounding that appointment?
Well, the incumbent Chief Minister, Keshubhai Patel, was facing quite a bit of criticism for his handling of the Bhuj earthquake.
I see.
And the BJP needed a strong leader to step in. Modi, with his, proven track record as an organizer, and his growing influence within the party, was seen as the solution. However, his time as chief minister would soon become marked by controversy.
The 2002 Gujarat riots, a very dark chapter in Modi's story.
Indeed.
How do we approach this event in a way that acknowledges the sensitivities and presents a balanced view?
It's crucial to understand the complexity of this event. And the varying narrative that surround it. The riots were sparked by the tragic Godhra train burning, where 59 Hindu pilgrims lost their lives.
Wow.
And this ignited communal violence, a cycle of retribution leading to significant loss of life. The official death toll stands at 1,044, though some sources report even higher numbers.
And Modi faced accusations regarding his role in the violence, correct?
Yes. He was accused of inaction and even complicity. Modi vehemently denied these claims. And courts eventually ruled in his favor, clearing him of any direct involvement. But the shadow of the riots and the accusations that lingered would have a lasting impact on his career.
These riots also led to international criticism, didn't they?
Yes, they did. Countries like the U.S. and the U.K. imposed travel bans on Modi, viewing his role in the riots with suspicion. These bans were eventually lifted, but the incident remained a point of contention on the world stage.
So how did he overcome this controversy and achieve such a significant political victory?
Well, this is where we see a calculated shift in Modi's approach. He moved away from the overt Hindu nationalism that had characterized his early career, symbolized by his Hindutva rhetoric, and shifted his focus toward economic development.
Was this a genuine change in his views?
It's hard to say.
A strategic political maneuver.
Yeah, it's difficult to definitively say. But what's observable is a deliberate effort to reposition himself. He worked to curtail the influence of hardline Hindu groups within the BJP, signaling a more moderate stance. And perhaps most importantly, he launched initiatives like the Vibrant Gujarat Summit.
Can you tell us more about that summit and its impact?
Sure. The Vibrant Gujarat Summit was designed to attract investment and project an image of Gujarat as a business-friendly state. It was a major success, bringing in significant investment and showcasing Modi's leadership on economic development. This shift in focus would prove crucial to his future political success.
And this success in Gujarat ultimately propelled him to the national stage.
Yes.
In our next segment, we'll explore his rise to prime minister and delve into
the policies and controversies that have defined his tenure.
Sounds good. As we saw in the last segment, Modi's tenure as chief minister of Gujarat, despite the controversies, showcased his ability to attract investment and promote economic development. And this would become a key factor in his next political move.
And that move was setting his sights on the highest office in India, prime minister.
Exactly.
In 2014, he achieved a landslide victory.
He did.
The first time a single party had secured a parliamentary majority since 1984.
That's right.
What factors contributed to this remarkable win?
Well, Modi's campaign capitalized on several key elements. He tapped into this desire for change and stability. Particularly, within the context of India's economic challenges at the time.
So he was seen as someone who could revitalize the economy.
Exactly. He really emphasized his track record in Gujarat, promising to replicate the so-called Gujarat model on a national scale.
What exactly did that model entail?
And was it universally praised?
The Gujarat model centered on attracting foreign investment, promoting infrastructure development, and creating a very business-friendly environment.
So very pro-business.
Yeah. While it did attract significant investment and spurred economic growth in Gujarat, there were critics who argued that the benefits weren't evenly distributed and that social welfare programs were neglected.
But despite those criticisms, the model clearly resonated with voters.
He did.
Were there other factors at play in his victory?
Yeah, his campaign was very strategically crafted. They really downplayed the controversies surrounding the 2002 riots. And instead, they focused on Modi's economic vision and his image as this decisive leader. They even went so far as to publicly align the BJP with figures like B.R. Ambedkar, who had opposed Hindu nationalism. And this helped broaden their appeal and attract a wider range of voters.
It sounds like a carefully calculated strategy.
It was.
And you mentioned earlier that he was an early adopter of technology.
Yes.
Did that play a role in his campaign?
Absolutely. Modi recognized the power of social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter to connect directly with voters, especially younger generations. And he used these platforms very effectively to spread his message and build a strong online presence. This was a real game changer in Indian politics. And it contributed significantly to his success.
So he becomes prime minister, riding this wave of popularity. What were some of the key initiatives he undertook during his first term?
Well, his tenure has been marked by both ambitious initiatives and significant controversies. On the economic front, he launched programs like the Make in India initiative, which was aimed at boosting domestic manufacturing and attracting foreign companies to set up operations in India.
Was Make in India successful in achieving its goals?
It's been a mixed bag. While there has been some progress in attracting foreign investment and increasing manufacturing output, the results haven't been as transformative as some had hoped.
What about other economic policies?
Well,
were there any that generated significant debate or controversy?
One of the most controversial moves was the 2016 demonetization of banknotes. The government suddenly invalidated high-value currency notes.
Wow.
Claiming it would curb black money counterfeit currency and corruption.
That sounds like a pretty drastic measure.
What?
What were the intended consequences, and did they materialize?
Well, the intention was to bring untaxed wealth back into the formal economy.
Right.
And hinder these illicit activities.
Okay.
However, the execution was chaotic.
Okay.
Leading to widespread cash shortages, long lines of banks.
Wow.
And significant disruption to the economy.
Yeah.
Especially in the informal sector.
Right.
Where cash transactions were predominant.
So the short-term consequences were quite severe.
They were.
Did it achieve its long-term goals?
The effectiveness of demonetization in achieving its stated goals is still debated.
Okay.
While some black money was unearthed, a significant portion found its way back into the system. The impact on corruption is also difficult to measure.
Right.
And many economists criticized the move, arguing that it caused unnecessary economic hardship and had limited long-term benefits.
So it was definitely a big gamble.
It was.
Demonetization certainly stands out as a defining moment.
It does.
In his first term.
Yeah.
Were there other major policy changes that you think are important to understand?
The introduction of the Goods and Services Tax, or GST, was another major undertaking. This aimed to simplify India's very complex tax system by replacing multiple state and central taxes with a single national tax.
Was this a successful reform?
It was a massive logistical challenge.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And there were initial hurdles and complexities in its implementation. Businesses had to adapt to the new system.
Right.
And there were concerns about its impact on small businesses and inflation.
Yeah.
However, over time, the GST is generally considered a positive step toward creating a more unified and efficient tax system.
So streamlining things a little bit.
Yes.
It seems Modi's first term was characterized by this desire to implement bold reforms, even if those reforms came with significant challenges and mixed results.
Yes.
How would you describe his overall approach to governance during this period?
There's no question that he consolidated power. And centralized decision-making. He streamlined bureaucratic processes, which earned praise for efficiency, but also drew criticism for potentially weakening democratic institutions. This centralization of power became a recurring theme throughout his tenure.
And we saw this in his approach to social and political issues as well.
Yes, we did. For example, his Swachh Bharat mission, or Clean India mission, was a high-profile initiative focused on improving sanitation and hygiene across the country. It was a continuation of his emphasis on cleanliness, which he had championed in Gujarat. The mission saw some success in raising awareness and improving sanitation facilities, but achieving nationwide behavioral change remains a challenge.
So a mixed bag on the social front, just as we saw with his economic policies. What about his approach to more controversial issues?
Wow.
Like Jammu and Kashmir and the Citizenship Amendment Act.
These are very complex issues with deep historical and political roots. In 2019, Modi's government revoked the special status of Jammu and Kashmir. A move that was highly controversial and seen by many as an attempt to erode the region's autonomy. This sparked widespread protests and unrest, both within Kashmir and across India. The government responded with a crackdown, imposing restrictions on communication and movement in the region.
It sounds like a very tense and volatile situation.
It was.
And then there's the Citizenship Amendment Act, or CAA.
Yes.
Can you explain what this act entailed and why it generated such strong reactions?
The CAA, which was passed in 2019, provides a path to citizenship for persecuted religious minorities from neighboring countries. But it explicitly excludes Muslims. This sparked a wave of protests across India, with many arguing that the law was discriminatory and violated India's secular constitution. The protests were particularly significant for their diversity, with students, activists, and citizens from all walks of life coming together to express their opposition.
And those protests, unfortunately, turned violent in some instances.
Yes, they did. In 2020, Delhi witnessed some of the worst communal violence in decades.
Wow.
The riots, which primarily targeted Muslims, were fueled by tensions over the CAA and broader Hindu-Muslim relations. The violence shook the nation and raised concerns about the erosion of social harmony and the rule of law.
So we see a pattern of bold initiatives.
We do.
Coupled with significant controversies.
Yes.
Despite all of this, Modi maintained consistently high approval ratings.
Yes, he did.
Throughout his first term.
Yeah.
How do we make sense of this apparent contradiction?
And it's important to remember that India is a vast and diverse country.
Right.
With a very complex political landscape.
Yeah.
Modi's supporters admire his strong leadership.
Okay.
His decisive style and his focus on development. They see him as a leader who's not afraid to make tough decisions.
Right.
And who is committed to putting India on the global stage.
And his critics?
Well, his critics voice concerns about his policies and their impact on democracy, freedom of speech, and minority rights.
Yeah.
They point to the centralization of power,
right,
the erosion of institutional checks and balances, and the rise of Hindu nationalism as troubling trends.
So very different perspectives.
Yeah.
It's clear that he's a polarizing figure.
He is.
Inspiring both fervent admiration and deep-seated opposition.
Absolutely.
To understand the Modi phenomenon, we need to go beyond his policies.
Yes.
And look at how he has carefully crafted his public image and persona.
Yes.
In our next segment, we'll delve into that aspect of his story.
Okay.
So we've covered a lot of ground from his early life all the way to his controversial policies as prime minister.
We have.
Now let's turn our attention to something we touched upon earlier.
Okay.
His carefully crafted public image.
Yes.
What are the key elements of this image, and how has he cultivated it?
Well, one of the most striking aspects of Modi's persona is this emphasis on simplicity,
Right.
hard work, and his deep connection to his Hindu faith. He really projects this image of a man of the people.
Okay.
A leader who understands the struggles of ordinary Indians.
We often hear about his modest lifestyle and his tireless work ethic.
Exactly. He's a vegetarian.
Right.
Known for his simple attire and his long hours.
Yeah.
There were countless anecdotes about his dedication to his work.
Right.
Often sleeping only a few hours a night.
Wow.
And this image of a selfless leader devoted to serving the nation really resonates strongly with many Indians.
And it's not just about traditional values.
Right.
He's also embraced technology and social media in a way that few other world leaders have.
That's right. That's another key element of his image.
Okay.
He recognized early on the power of these platforms to connect directly with citizens, particularly younger generations.
Yeah.
Remember his use of Google Hangouts back in 2012?
Way back.
To interact with people? So this tech savviness has helped him project an image of modernity and accessibility.
And let's not forget his fashion choices.
Oh, yes.
Whether it's his signature half-sleeve kurtas or that name-embroidered suit that caused such a stir.
It did.
His attire often becomes a talking point.
His style choices, whether intentional or not, contribute to his carefully constructed persona.
Okay.
He blends traditional Indian attire with modern elements, reflecting his effort to connect with both rural and urban populations.
He's gone beyond politics and become a pop culture icon, hasn't he?
He has, yeah.
We see him in biopics, web series.
That's right.
Even on Man vs. Wild with Bear Grylls.
These appearances are strategic and carefully orchestrated.
Right.
His appearance on Man vs. Wild, for example, showed him, trekking through the jungle.
Right.
Talking about nature conservation. Yeah. And it presented him as this strong, adventurous leader, comfortable in any setting. It's all part of building this larger-than-life persona.
And then there's Man Ki Baat,
his
radio program, where he speaks directly to the nation of a very personal way to connect with people.
It's a brilliant move.
Yeah.
It allows him to bypass traditional media, communicate directly with citizens, share his thoughts, address their concerns, and it reinforces this image of a leader who's in touch with the people.
And he's received numerous awards and honors, both in India and internationally.
Yes, from Time Magazine's 100 Most Influential People to the UN's Champion of the Earth Award.
Wow.
These accolades add to his global stature and project an image of a leader who is respected on the world stage.
So we've explored his humble beginnings, his controversial policies, and his meticulously crafted public image.
Yes.
It's clear that Narendra Modi is a very complex and fascinating figure.
He is.
What stands out to you?
You know what fascinates me is how he's managed to navigate such a complex and often contradictory landscape.
Yeah.
He's embraced Hindu nationalism while also promoting a modern, technologically advanced India. He's implemented these bold economic reforms, but those reforms haven't always produced the desired outcomes. He's cultivated a persona that resonates with millions, yet he remains a deeply polarizing figure.
It's a lot to consider, and it really raises some important questions.
It does.
About his legacy and his place in Indian history.
Indeed. How will his tenure as prime minister be remembered? What impact will his policies have on India in the long term? And what will become of the social and political divisions that have deepened during his time in office?
These are all questions that we're going to continue grappling with in the years to come.
Absolutely.
As for you, our listener, what aspects of Modi's story resonate most with you? What questions do you have? We encourage you to delve deeper into the source material. Explore different viewpoints.
Absolutely.
And come to your own conclusions.
That's right.
That's what makes these deep dives so enriching.
I agree.